Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, New Japan had their latest pay per view with New Beginning in Osaka, featuring, of course, special matches, including title matches, which is going to be insane. And then we move on with WWE Evolve. Kendall Gray, as you know, defends her Evolve Women's title against Carmen Petrovic. But how things are going to turn out, we'll just have to find out, and plenty other things are also going to happen during Evolve. And then finally, as you know, AEW Dynamite has their final go home show before we head to Grand Slam Australia. So anything could happen. But however, we do have two title matches taking place. Kyle Fletcher gets his match for the TNT title to reclaim from Tommaso Ciampa. The obvious questions: can he pull it off, or will he become once again champion? And then, of course, the main event features a strap match for the AEW Women's World title. Will Chris Statlander survive the Toxic Spider, or the era of the Toxic will begin? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. And then, of course, we move on with our last and final thing, of course, which is news updates. Keeping you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got to Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. It's time to enjoy the ride. So let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling, the New Beginning in Osaka. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the New Beginning in Osaka. This is their recent show that just came out. Their big show at the Edion Arena Osaka. Their big venue they have. Not the Edion Arena Osaka #2, which is a bit more smaller, but yes. So anyway, we did have a pre-show match. Now this, keep in mind, is more of a, how do I say, their last time people would get to see them when they went on their excursion. As you know, Katsuya Murashima and Shimokato are set to go on their, of course, excursions. As you know, from my understanding, one will be heading to CMLL. I forgot what the other one is going to, but yes. Anyway, they both, Kato and Murashima, they face, of course, Toroyano and Togi Makabe. Now, of course, these two guys are the veterans. They know exactly what you need to do. I mean, Toroyano, you want to keep yourself in check knowing that he's going to play dirty tricks on you, but that's about it. But Togi Makabe, well, he's a beast if you guys ever seen him. But he took out Murashima with the King Kong knee drop on him, and just like that, one, two, three, it's over. And of course, Murashima did a little bow to the fans, knowing like it's more like saying, it's not goodbye, but it's see you later because we don't know when he'll be back. Normally, with excursions, either could last up to 6 months to a year, maybe 2 or 3 years at most, depending on how much they need to learn. So that's pretty much how it goes in. Now, before the main card even began, New Japan has suffered a loss of a former IWGP champion named Tadao Yasuda, who is a former IWGP heavyweight champion. So many wrestlers come out to pay their respects, and I thought it was a pretty nice way to start out the whole thing. Now, our first match of the card, of course, we have, as you remember, we have the war between the United Empire and the Unbound Company facing off. On this one, we have Jacob Austin Young and Francisco Akira taking on Unbound Taiji Shimori and Hiromu Takahashi. Now, what's interesting about this, no one would have imagined that Hiromu and Ishimori would just team up, but they did pretty well. But however, as you know, these two guys have a common enemy, which is the United Empire. More specifically, Francisco Akira, who's been targeting guys who are bigger than him as the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champions. And he felt that he needs to eradicate them in order to prove his point. However, Hiromu is having his final match, and he wants to go away with the bang on this one, as you probably know. But however, we did see a great moment how Hiromu used to use David Finlay to do his be like a weapon. Well, he used the referee as a weapon instead onto Akira, and I thought it was funny. But however, in the end of this, it was Ishimori who won the match by applying the crossbone onto Jacob Ostingon, and that's pretty much it. But however, Francisco Akira, who was pissed off that he lost, he decided, oh, hell no, you're not walking away this way. So he decided to try to take him out by breaking his neck. But thank God for Robbie X took matters in his own hands. And of course, Akira was not happy. He's like, I need to destroy you, Hiromu. You're a coward. You're walking away. But Hiromu's like, bye. So that's how things end right there. And of course, Hiromu got his jacket back that idiot Jacob Austin Young took from him. So everything worked out well for Hiromu. Now, our next match, as I mentioned before, the United Empire and the Unbound Company continues to, of course, with the whole war. And this time we have the Great Khan and Henare, as you know, former IWGP Tag Team Champions. Now remember, they never lost those titles. They had to relinquish because Henare was injured. But they're facing a team who people are saying should be IWGP Tag Team Champions, and that is the War Dogs, because no one would have imagined that Moloney and Shingo Takagi would team up very well. And they often do pretty well. They know how to work together very well. But of course, the one thing that becomes a weakness to the War Dogs is their injuries they obtained before this event. But they were able to withstand whatever throws at him. But thank God they applied the War Dragon on Henare. And just like that, Moloney picked up the win. 1, 2, 3. It's over. But during the post-match promo, well, Moloney kind of gave the good news to the fan base that he resigned with New Japan. And of course, Shingo was very happy about it. He surprised. And he's like, did you really? It's like, yep, we did. But of course, Shingo decided to say it. But he also said, Moloney, that he is entering the New Japan Cup. And I'm sure Shingo's going to be happy about it, knowing that he is becoming stronger than he always has been. And of course, Shingo did say, let's keep fighting. So basically, they're throwing the fighting spirit out into the world. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match is a title match. The Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles. TMDK has issued a rematch against the team that they lost the belts to, Boltin Oleg and of course Bishamon, Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. So remember, they lost these belts recently and now they want them back. But the real question is, can they pull it off? Well, I have to say, I mentioned before that Boltin Oleg and Bishamon seemed like they got very well, together. And that's something that was very interesting. We did see everybody back and forth with each other, but it was, of course, a combination of when they applied a similar Shoto position, but it was Boltin Oleg that made the final blow. But Yoshihashi picked up the win onto Jackson, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Oleg and Bishamon retained the championships. And just like that, it was completely over. Now, our next match is a number one contendership for the IWGP Global Heavyweight title, which is currently in the position of Yodatsuji, who is our current Double Crown champion. Um, we have Andrade El Idolo and Gabe Kidd. Now, remember, Gabe Kidd is also a former champion, but it was Andrade Idolo, as you know, who's making his way this way. And this match was chaotic. I mean, the match was outside the ring. Gabe Kidd took everything that he had on him to break him away. But however, Andrade was just way too quicker. He took him out with the elbow, then he applied the DM, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, number one contender. But the real question is when it's going to happen. Well, many of you guys may not know this. It's going to happen on New Beginning USA very soon. Now, our next match is Cal Newman versus David Finlay. Now, of course, this feud has started a long time ago. If you remember, it was the War Dogs that began a war against, of course, against the United Empire. And David Finlay was the one who took great pleasure to say, hey, I drove Will Ospreay out, and that's exactly what. And Newman hasn't forgotten, so now he's determined to destroy Finlay. And practically, that's exactly what's going on. I mean, it was chaotic as well. They took the fight outside the ring, and all this using whatever they got. But however, Cal Newman picked up the win, of course, and applied the Princess Curse. 1, 2, 3. It was over. However, as you all may know, Finlay has there was talks of Finlay maybe leaving in New Japan, and he took a bow in the post-match promo. So that's pretty much what we do know about what happened. So we'll see what happens as we go. Now, before our big title matches, we have Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace, but also the current New Japan president, making his way to the commentary booth. Now, but he also made some announcements regarding about how improved the Wrestle Kingdom has become this year, and he gave some great news about that. So I have to say, awesome work. Now our next match is our Never Openweight Championship. Ren Narita taking on Aaron Wolf, but of course, typical House of Losers techniques. They decided to send the pack of wolves attacking Aaron Wolf before the bell rung. Obviously, this is how these guys work, because they will do whatever it takes to win. But I have to say, Aaron Wolf really fought valiantly to do so. But however, of course, they used dirty tricks as always. Red Narita, of course, took out the ref. Then the House of Torture got involved. But however, it took 2 tries for Red Narita to apply the hellish guillotine, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Brand new Never Openweight champion. But however, the House of Losers decided to take out Wolf once and for all. But thank God for Huntai, who showed up and took matters in their own hands. But however, once again, the House of Torture, or should I say the House of Losers, regained this belt that they believe rightfully belongs to them. But we'll see what happens. Now our next match is for the IWGP Tag Team titles. Yusho, consistent of Yuya Uemura and Shota Umino, once again gets a title match. They face against the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice. I have to say, what an incredible match. I mean, you wouldn't have imagined how this was going to end. I'm sure people were divided between, of course, Yusho and the Knockout Brothers, but it was fantastic. There were moments where you thought, when it was 2-on-1 with, of course, either Uemura or Shota Umino taking on the Knockout Brothers, but it was Uemura who fought valiantly no matter what. But unfortunately, he ended up on the KOB by Yuto Ice and Oscar, and just like that, Oscar picked up the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. The Knockout Brothers picked up the win. However, during the post-match, they receive a message from AEW's very own Ricochet, our current AEW National Champion, and his buddies part of the Demand, the GOA, the Gates of Agony. Apparently, of course, Ricochet is calling out Taichi Ishimori, but however, also the Gates of Agony are also calling out the Knockout Brothers, and they have their targets set on the IWGP Tag Team belt, and that's exactly what they want. So they're expecting their response, but of course, Yuto Ice can speak for both he and Oscar, and they're willing to accept it. But he also said, let's get high. Now, keep in mind, we haven't heard anything what Ishimori said, but I'm sure Ishimori will put Ricochet in his place. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, for our main event, it's the IWGP Heavyweight title, Jake Lee versus Yotsuji. Now, this match came about right after Wrestle Kingdom. Remember, Jake Lee attacked Yotsuji because he wants the title, but Yotsuji is saying, you know something, Lee? You did not earn this title. You don't earn this title shot because you did not pick up any wins. It's like he's saying, you can't just attack me and demand a title. You have to pick up wins. But Jake's like, I don't need that. But he told him, you need to convince me. And of course he did. But however, you would have assumed, just like what we saw in Noah, that Jake Lee would have won and claimed this belt for the United Empire. But no, Yoda Tsuji did everything human possible to withstand whatever he threw at him. But in the end, it was a gene blaster that took him out. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the title. And then, of course, he put out a promo telling Jake, that no matter what happens, I'll be waiting. And then, of course, he said that he will protect New Japan from anybody that wants to desecrate it. And then, of course, he calls out the Unbound Company. You see the Knockout Brothers, Shingo, Maloney, Robbie X, including Ishimori and Geto. And then, of course, he had to call out Hiromu because many of you know this was Hiromu last time being there. And, of course, he was talking to that now he has accomplished so much as an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, but he wants for a heavyweight champion, but he doesn't know when will that happen. But he's gonna leave for now. It's saying this. He's telling fans, "Hey guys, this is not goodbye forever. This is more of see you later." And that pretty much how it went. And of course, we did. Everybody were giving hugs, high fives. But the one thing that was interesting is Yuto Ice was crying, and Hiromu was like laughing, it's like, I can't believe you're crying, man. What's wrong with you? But of course, Yuto Ice couldn't help it. He couldn't even look at the camera because he was so emotional that Hiromu was leaving. And of course, it's sad, but that's how things end. I can't wait to see what the Unbound is going to do next. So stay tuned for more. But as of right now, let's move on with our next review, and that is WWE Evolve. Okay, WWE Evolve. We opened up with Kendall Gray talking to her tag partner and friend, Ren Sinclair, talking about, of course, Callie Armstrong, about how, she was the deal breaker from the very beginning and all that. But not to mention, Kendall Gray knows that she has a target in her back. And of course, Ren Sinclair's like saying, look, you're doubling both. Don't You're putting yourself too much pressure. But of course, Kendall Gray said, look, that's how I live for it. So I hope she knows what she's doing, but we'll see what happens from there on out. Now, our first match, we have Swipe Right, consistent of Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes, along with, of course, fellow Vanity Project teammate Jackson Drake, our current Evolve champion. They take on Mike Cunningham and Eli Knight, and I thought the match was fantastic. I thought it was a pretty good opener for everyone to enjoy. I mean, they've been going back and forth, not to mention Jackson Drake getting involved and all this and that. We did see uh, Drake try to distract referee. Then Baylor tossed Cunningham away from the turnbuckle, but Eli accidentally took out Cunningham. It was not intentional, but everything they were going back and forth until, of course, a double stomp by Ricky Smokes onto Eli. It just ended right there. And of course, we did see a post-match promo from of course the Vanity Project, claiming that they are still in full control. But Harley Lewis, as you know, he still has a shot for the Evolve Championship. But however, he was sneak attack by Brooks Jensen, telling him, "Oh hell no, you're not getting a title shot before me." So basically, it's still a freaking frenzy. We know that Harlan Lewis did say, "I don't care if the ID guys or the PC guys destroy each other." So basically, he doesn't want nothing to do for either side. So you can consider Harlan Lewis as a lone wolf, if that's the correct term right there for anybody. But yes, so that's how it turns out. Now, Ariana Grace and Nikita Lyons have been trying to turn in a new leaf with, of course, Mason Holiday and Layla Diggs. Well, that kind of short-lived for quite a while. So we may see those two teams face each other very, very soon. Now, of course, the PC guys are not happy with the results of what happened last week, where Cam Hendrick is not the Evolve champion. He still has his problems towards Tate Wilder. But, of course, it was Braxton Cole who came up with the idea. How about us fives? Him, Cam Hendricks, Riggins, Priestley, and Carver. They deal with them in a 5-on-5 match. So that's what's going to happen right there. Now, speaking of the ID guys, we do have, of course, Aaron Rourke taking on It's Skull. Now, this whole thing happened about a week ago where It's Skull felt like it was beneath him not to help out the ID guys, despite that he's one of them. But it kind of went on. But in the end, it was Aaron Rourke who actually defeated It's Skull with Over the Rainbow. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Chuy Martinez went to the VIP booth, had a little chit-chat with Trill London and Tate Wild about everything, and they told him, look, they're still unjust with the PC guys, what they've been causing. So it seems like they want to put them out of their misery. So we'll see how that rolls out there too. Now, Wendy Chu, as you know, had a little talk with Kylie Armstrong, telling her, look, I know you're not okay with these recent losses. So he said, look, I went to therapy to figure out what I wanted to do, and I'm offering this advice to you. But of course, for Callie Armstrong's actual therapy is punching her in the abdomen. So that's how it works for her. Now let's jump into the main event, which is the Women's Evolve Championship. We have Carmen Petrovic versus Kendall Gray. I thought the match was pretty okay. Not the best, but okay, just to let you guys know. But we know Carmen Petrovic, what she does. She does have a background in martial arts. That's a good thing. But however, we know that Kendall Gray does have a bit of the, how do I say, the submission technical experience that could work. Now, of course, she could have used the armbar, but it didn't do it well until she applied the shades of gray, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the title. But however, PJ Vasa comes out and tells her that, of course, she's the next challenger at Secession 2, which is the opening of their next season in March. So we'll see what's going to go on next week. So seems that's going to happen. So plans are to be made for Secession 2. So stay tuned for that. But so right now, we're done with Evolve. Let's move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite, the go-home show before we head to Australia for Grand Slam. Now, as you know, we've been seeing tensions coming between both Swerve Strickland and Kenny Omega. Now, of course, Tony Khan wanted to get in the bottom of this whole thing. Now, Swerve had some things to say to Kenny, telling him, "Where the hell were you, Kenny? I had to deal with a couple of guys who, as you know, were using their EVP status to get away with everything." So he was accusing Kenny, "Are you trying to do the same thing?" And all this, and he brought out the God of Wrestling reference, the cleaner, the big bout machine, and all, the best bout machine, that sort of thing. Now Kenny responds saying, "Swerve, I never called myself the God of Wrestling. That was a name that was given to me by the fans." And he embraced it, because he did everything. So they've been going back and forth, and then things got a little chaotic, and they went into a brawl. And of course, they actually took each other out outside the stage area of the platform, and just like that, it was completely done. Now, Renee Paquette talked to Kyle Fletcher and that weasel Don Callis about the TNT title match. Of course, Don Callis is looking forward to see Kyle Fletcher bring that title back where it rightfully belongs. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, as you know, the war between the Death Riders and the Don Callis family rages on. Of course, representing the Death Riders is Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and John Moxley. Then we have the Don Callis family, Josh Alexander and Mark Davis, and Konosuke Takeshita. Now, keep in mind that in Grand Slam Australia, Konosuke Takeshita will be challenging for the AEW Continental Championship against Jon Moxley. But this war started long before any of them. As you all remember, it was Jon Moxley that put a screwdriver in the forehead of Don Callis, and he hasn't forgotten. And of course, this war between them is going on. I thought it was a really impressive match, but it ended, of course, with the Death Rider on Alexander by Mox, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now we jump into our TNT title match. We have Kyle Fletcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. I thought this match was incredible. I mean, these guys put everything on the line to try to take each other out no matter what, using whatever resources they can do. I mean, they even took it outside the ring and everything, and using like the everything they got, the knee strike, the brain buster, all of it. But finally, Kyle Fletcher did apply a sheer brain buster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he regained the title, and just like that. But however, he wanted this title so bad so he can walk in as the AEW as a TNT champion in his native country of Australia. So he called out anybody to challenge him, but it was Mark Briscoe who handled it. But of course, Fletcher accepted it because he wants this thing between them to end. So instead, he said, "Listen, since you had that catchphrase, reach for the sky," so he decided to put this match into a ladder match. So if Mark Briscoe loses, this is the end between them. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our next match, we have Daniel Garcia teaming up with Clark Connors to take on Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy. Now, at first, everything was going well until Roderick Strong decided to walk out on Orange Cassidy, and things were not looking good for him. Now, Clark Connors thought everything was good, that everything is taken care of, that Darby Allin is left in the middle of the desert and he can't come back. Well, unfortunately, they should have known that Darby Allin came back, and he was very resilient. That left it into a one-on-one match for Cassidy, but he was able to pick up the pinfall on Daniel Garcia. And then, of course, Tony Storm showed up, and all this, until Wheeler Yuta, well, they brought out Mina Shirakawa in the Mother's Milk by Marina Shafir, and they cut her hair, which is disgusting. And, of course, Orange Cassidy tried to save her, but Daniel Garcia kept her in tow. And that's how things got out of hand. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mina shows up in Australia, kicks Wheeler Yuta in the gonads, and Yuta's the one who loses his hair. And I wouldn't be surprised that if Orange Cassidy and Tony Storm tells her, "Here, take a little razor, take a little piece off his hair." So that would go sweeter as payback revenge against this loser. Now, last week, we did see Kenny Omega lose to Andrade. But of course, that snake, Don Callis, he loves to destroy Kenny. So he's looking forward to that Andrade did exactly what he wanted him to do. But of course, Andrade has one thing in mind, is the AEW World title. But the real question is, can he get to that? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, it seems that Jet Set Rodeo has something in mind. Of course, Jet Speed said that they are not only just considering becoming the Trios top champions, but also to obtaining singles gold. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Knight, as you know, he defeated Scorpio Sky, a former TNT champion. He probably could challenge for the title against Kyle Fletcher, but we'll see. Now, the AEW number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team titles has been set. We have the Young Bucks and the Rascals, Desmond Xavier and Myron Reed teaming up. But the mystery team, well, is former AEW World Tag Champions Private Party, who we haven't seen. So it turns out that they're still under contract with them. And I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, they had some great spots in it. I did not anticipate this was going to be that good. But we did see a lot of super kick parties taking place. But in the end, of course, it was the Meltzer driver onto Myron Reed, and Matt picked up the win. And then, of course, FTR decided to show up. As you know, these two teams have been at war with each other in the past. So it seems now that things are resuming as it used to be in the past. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we did see a bit of a vignette with Will Ospreay about him making his return. Now, we don't know how he will be. We know that he's been out for quite some time since the start since last year, but we'll see. Now, our main event is the AEW Women's World Title in a strap match, Tekla versus Chris Statlander. And of course, Statlander took a lot of beating, not to mention bleeding out, and Tekla was using the strap into her advantage to do whatever it takes to pick up the win, even flipping up a bird. And of course, we did see Sky Blue and Julia Hart try to help her out, but it became a fail. But unfortunately, when Tekla took out Chris Statlander once again, she tied her up and then speared her, and just like no, stomped her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she's a brand new AEW Women's World Champion. So that's how things end. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Statlander, of course, issued a rematch clause, but we'll see what happens. So that's pretty much it. What happened on AEW Dynamite. Let's move on to our final thing, which is, of course, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events as always, starting with GCW updates. Now, as you know, we have the upcoming Coldest Winter 4 in LA on Valentine's Day, of course. 2 matches have been announced. We have the Brothers of Funstruction. They take on CPA and, well, this is his name, Rob Shit. So, yes, that's an actual wrestling name, guys. But we also have a 3-way match with Shotzi Blackheart, Viperess, and Brittany Brooks. And then, of course, the following day, they'll be heading their way to Phoenix, Arizona for Holy Smokes. And they just announced once again the Brothers of Funstruction. This time they take on Ciclope and Viperess. So I'm going to say it's going to be a very destructive match. And then, of course, they head on the 27th to Rochester, New York, aka Brody Lee Country. We have Blade making his presence known. And then, of course, later on during the Las Vegas shows, Bloodsport 15, they just announced Fuminori Abe is going to be there. That's going to be one hell of a match. Now, on to West Coast Pro updates here, as you probably want to know. We do have the Evil Empire taking place on the 27th of February. 2 matches have been announced. Lee Moriarty will take on Adrian Quest, and the West Coast Pro World title will be defended. Vinny Masario defends his belt against LeBron Cozone, so that's going to be an interesting one. Now, Stardom, as you know, will be making their way to Corcoran Hall this Friday, and they just announced the match card for this one. Let me pull that up on my phone so you guys can know which matches are going to take place. All right, so match number 1, we have a tag match. We have Azuki and Fui-chan teaming up. They take on Aya Sakura and Ane Kanaya. Then we have a singles match with Natsupoi versus Rianna. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Rianna asked Natsupoi to join the Cosmic Angels since ESV and EXV are now disbanded. Then we have another tag match. We have the members of God's Eye, Tomoka Inaba and Ronnie Agami, taking on Maki Ito and Kikyo Furuzawa. Then we have another tag match. We have Maika and Xena. They team up to take on India Soex and Tabitha. Then we have an 8-woman tag match. Starlight Kid, Azumi, Meisira, and Miyo Masaki taking on Amisuri, Saki Kashima, Lady C, and Kyoka Kotatsu from God's Eye. Then we have another tag match. Hanako and Waka, known as Rice or Bread, they take on Ioki Azuki and Akira Kurigani. Then we have the high-speed championship match. Yuna Mizumori defends her title against Momokogo. Then finally we have a 12-woman tag match. We have Shuri, Hina, Hanan, Yuri Him, Saori Anu, and Sayaka Kurara taking on Konami, Natsuko Tora, Raka, Rina, Azusa Inaba, and Fukigen Depth. So that's pretty much the card for that particular day. We do have more updates on upcoming events. Let me pull it up here in my notes. Oh, yes. As you all know, Private Party made their return to AEW. Well, they make the return back where things started for them at House of Glory for turning back on the 20th of February. Then, of course, all women's promotion in the UK, Pro Wrestling E for Wrestle Queendom, that'll take place on March 8th. This was announced by Will Ospreay himself. Many of you know this, that he is the actual producer of the show. He announced that the Eve International title, which currently is being held by uh, Chris Statlander, will defend the title against Charlie, who many of you may know her as Dakota Kai in WWE. So, yes, she makes her appearance. And then, of course, for those any of my subscribers from Dallas, Texas, well, you're just in for a treat. That Tokyo Pro Wrestling will be making their way to Dallas on the 21st of March. So this is part of their Texas tour. So get your tickets now. And then finally, of course, this was announced that CML on the 26th of March at Arena Mexico, Dark Silueta will take on Micah. So that's pretty much it for our upcoming events. Let's move on with some um, developments. Now, as you all know, Drilla Moloney has announced that he resigned with New Japan, but Fightful Select does report that he had rejected the idea of going into any American companies. So basically, he has 1 year in his contract with New Japan. So let's see how things will turn out from there. Now, Miya Yotsuba, as many of you may know, she'll be heading to India. She just posted on her social media that she got her passport. She's on her way getting ready for the India expedition. This is something that Balan Aki has cooked up in his native country of India. So we'll see how that plays out too. Now, Stardom has announced certain things have taken place. Saya Kamitani is out. She'll miss out at least a month due to the injury. You guys remember she dislocated her finger during a Supreme fight in her match against Starlight Kid. So it's out. And so is Suzuki and B. Priestley as well. They also sustained some injuries. But Saya Ida also announced that she'll be taking a break for a while. So that's pretty much what's been happening. Now, a lot of things have come around about David Finlay, as you all know. Certain things have been mentioned. Let me pull that up real quick. There it is. This was coming from Body Slam Net, and this is what they said. One source stated that there is no indication if he has agreed a deal or a signing, but he has been discussed internally. Another source said the WWE has intentionally planted seeds on TV recently with Uriah Connors, who is his real life brother, in the case that he doesn't make it to the company. So that kind of sets it up right there. So we know that there's been talks of him going that way. Now, Will Ospreay, as I mentioned before, that he announced that Charlie, aka Dakota Kai, is going to be participating. He had some things to say about that. This is what he said. Sometimes the names does come a little by little in handy, but I remember when we were putting the card together. It was in November. I messaged Tony to basically, can I have Willow, Stat, Harley, another one that I can't reveal yet, but when I asked to get those permissions, Stat for us has been incredible champion, and I love having the belt on her. I love bringing her out. I love the fact that she got to work with other girls with the help of a little bit more. Her and Nina was real sick match. So I wanted to try and find a wrestler that isn't attached to any major company to get that going. And I just got the moment. Also, Dakota Kai's out of work right now. I wonder if she's actually up, because I didn't see anything. She doesn't really post much, but when she's like a Twitch stream. So I just dropped her a message, and I said, "What are your chances of making it happen?" So she got back to me right away, and looks like super eager to do it. So I couldn't believe like the back and forth between us. So it was good. It was just like she's really wants to come down to E to celebrate a huge show in Indigo, but more importantly, she's really wanted to wrestle Chris Atlan. Honestly, I'm grateful and blessed that the show like this we get to put on a caliber match of two incredible in-ring workers. So yeah, that's how it is. Basically, he thought about her, he messaged her, and that's great to hear. Now, as you all know, recently I mentioned about Katsuya Murashima will be taking an excursion. WXW, which is a German promotion, had this to say about her. New Japan Cup winner Katsuya Murashima will be becoming full roster member of WXW starting in March of 2026. He is the third wrestler after Oscar and Yuto Nakashima, aka Yuto Ice, uh, set up a camp in Germany as part of his excursion. Murashima will move to Lenske. I can't say German names, guys. I apologize. If I have any German subscribers, I don't know exactly how to pronounce the places. In just a few weeks, and complete hits for the training WXW Academy. So basically, it's already been set. So he will be making an excursion in Germany. I think Shota Umino will be making his way to CML. So it makes perfect sense. But for many of you know this, yes, Yudo Ice and Oscar did some things with WXW, and I remember I seen those matches, and I think they were tag champions during that time. So yeah, that's pretty good. So I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have TNA and Ring of Honor, so we'll see how things will roll up. And pretty much that's the game plan for the next episode. I'm not really sure if there's anything else I can do, but that's it. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye and have a nice day. Bang.